Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about, of course, the economic challenges the government faces at this time, also coupled with the announcement by the PDM at this time of holding rallies all over, protests all over the provincial capitals, followed by that in Islamabad. And how vulnerable is the government at this time from the opposition as far as these protests is concerned? Of course, we've seen before also this announcement of Mengai marches, which were deemed not as successful as the opposition, of course, had hoped. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about side by side, simultaneously, of course, the issue of price hike and inflation at this time, and how worrying is it for the government, regardless of where the opposition is at this time. How fragmented are these protests which the opposition talks about? Why is there no cohesive force behind them? Why is there not sufficient kind of noise? On the one hand, we see the opposition saying that they want to accelerate as far as their protests are concerned. They want to talk about inflation, price hike, all of that. But on the other hand, we don't really see enough of it happening. We don't see it within the parliament. If we talk about outside the parliament, there doesn't seem to be that kind of unity, that kind of cohesiveness that would then probably be of concern to the government. All of that today on Perspective. I have with me today Shakeel Rame, who's a political economist. Thank you for joining us today. Javed Jadoon, who is a political analyst. Thank you for being with us. We also have with us Nadir Gabol, who is leader PPP. Thank you for joining us today. And Ahmed Jawad, who's Central Secretary Information PTI. Thank you for being with us. Shakeel sir, let's talk about overall the situation at this time, as far as inflation is concerned, as far as price hike is concerned. Of course, there is, there are two opinions on the fact that it is a cause for concern, not only for you and I, but also for the Prime Minister. And we saw what happened as far as the relief package is concerned, with him coming out and saying and talking about it to the nation. He also talked about how, of course, as far as the wealth of the two big families is concerned, and how if that came back, then probably things would be easy. All of that. Overall, your assessment of the situation today?
I think the problem which we are facing today is not only due to the PTI, but we have built it.
Okay.
Successive governments have built it and they contributed. And the problem with the PTI government is they are unable to govern it in proper way.
Okay.
Because when they came into the power, they knew that the situation was like that. They needed to focus on the production sector, but unfortunately they did not.
Okay.
One thing, and second thing, when we talk about the inflation, there are two problems for Pakistan. One, it's a global phenomena. The second is that the purchasing power of Pakistani has been gone down.
Okay.
If we look at the dollar rate, our rupee has been gone down against the dollar. Then there is no substantial increase in the salary of the people, other relief for the people in the last 3 years. There we cannot figure out any substantial relief, a substantial increase in their pay. So the people who are facing this problem at this point of time, one, they are facing the price inflation. That is a global phenomenon, but in Pakistan is more because our purchasing power has been decreased. That is a basic point. There come the sector of the production. Because if we needed to enhance the purchasing power of people, we need to create more livelihood opportunities for them.
Okay.
And opportunities which are sustainable. It should not be like that you are employed for the 20 days of 1 month or 2 months. Like in the plantation drive, there are some people who were employed for a few days or a few months, but later on they had no employment.
Okay, let me
for that purpose, we needed to focus on our industrialization. We needed to focus on our agriculture. Unfortunately, if we look at that...
But isn't it too simplistic to imagine that a new government, even now of 3.5 years or so, would be able to deal with all those challenges, and give us and bring us sufficiently on the course? I mean, of course, because it hasn't taken us one government, second government. Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Jawad Saab before I go to Javed Jadoon Saab. Ji, Jawad Saab, let you answer this simple question that you think that as far as misgovernance is concerned, Shakil Saab is saying that it's about misgovernance, or it's about, not concentrating so much on, as far as production is concerned. Perhaps a different kind of miscalculation of how hard things actually were when this government came in, all of those things. How do you answer that?
Marukh, we cannot deny this fact that we, not only this government, country had been and currently is facing governance issue, country is facing mafias and monopolies, and on top of that, we had this COVID once in a century kind of a crisis. And what we did not feel the impact of COVID during the COVID, I think now we are feeling the impact of COVID, because the supply chain management, production, and inflation all over the world, it is now affecting, and obviously Pakistan is no exception. Okay. But Marukh, one thing I would like to mention that I'm here in Istanbul last few days, and Turkey has been declared as the second largest inflation rate in the world. And I'm surprised that nobody here is talking about inflation, just opposite to what we see in Pakistan, that every television channel, every talk show, everything is about the inflation and rising inflation. And here nobody is talking about that. And somebody might comment that, okay, the purchasing power here in Turkey might be better than in Pakistan. But we should also remember that still the prices in Pakistan are cheapest, one of the cheapest perhaps in the world. If the purchasing power is less, the prices are also still less. If we look at the price of the petrol, not only in the region, perhaps it is in the world one of the lowest prices which Pakistan is providing petrol, Pakistani government is providing after the taxes and reducing the taxes and the levies. So I think it's not just, I think the impression which I get when I talk on this subject about the inflation everywhere, in every talk show, every channel, the impression perhaps is being created by the opposition and perhaps also in the media that the current crisis of inflation is the result of the mismanagement or the poor performance of the government. I do not agree with that. We cannot
You're saying that it's a global phenomenon.
We cannot give exception to the great impact of COVID to the entire world. The whole world is facing the challenges, and we are also facing those challenges. And but we also have to see that there is good indicators in Pakistan, whether it is collection of revenue, whether it is increasing exports, whether it is good economic activity in the construction industry, whether it is rising foreign reserves, or whether it is rising foreign remittance.
Let me come back to you. Okay, fair enough. Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Javed Jadoon Saab. Ji, Javed Saab, okay, we've heard this. It's a global phenomena. It's happening all over the world. According to Jawad Saab, Turkey is perhaps hit second in the whole world. But as far as economies go, we're already a very, very vulnerable economy. So for us, of course, we're probably in a much dire state than, for example, Turkey. Isn't that true?
Thank you very much, Marukh. I think when we talk about inflation and price hike, and then we start giving the parallels as far as Pakistan is concerned, we start quoting the examples of the developed world. We start talking about Turkey, which is definitely a very developed nation and part of the European Union. But we don't understand that there can't be any parallels drawn between Pakistan and Turkey or Pakistan and USA. When we talk about Pakistan, more than 50% population is below the poverty line. But that is not the case in Turkey. That is not the case in the USA or in Britain or any other developed nation. And when government starts quoting the high inflation rates, I think globally the inflation rate is about 3 to 3.5%. But in Pakistan currently it is about 9%, and it is feared that it could be a double-digit inflation in the coming months if certain policy initiatives are not taken. Definitely, I think Prime Minister's relief package is a good step forward, but will it be able to address the issue of inflation, price hike, and the pressure the people are facing in Pakistan? And at the same time, opposition, the combined opposition, is trying to capitalize on the situation because they know that inflation, price hike, and poverty is really hitting very hard the people of Pakistan, and this is the only slogan which can be attracted as far as the people are concerned. And they have made it a policy plank, and they're coming out only in one slogan, and that is the price hike and inflation. Because they tried so many tricks in the past, they did not succeed. But this time around, I think when they have announced that they're going to go to 4 provincial capitals, and finally they have announced to march towards Islamabad, they haven't given the date yet. But I think definitely the people are hard hit, and it would amount to rubbing salt on the wounds of the people when you start giving some examples which are not relevant as far as Pakistan is concerned. Because Maruf, at the same time, we need to understand and know the purchasing power of the people as well, as far as other countries are concerned.
Okay,
but in Pakistan, I think economy has been not performing really good even before the pandemic. Of course, pandemic has had a very negative impact on Pakistan's economy, like any other country in the world. But I think despite the fact there are definitely issues of governance.
Right, okay.
So I think if you don't address those issues, you really can't hide behind these these excuses.
Right, let me come back to you. Ji, Nadir Sahab, overall, what is the PPP's stance as far as these protest rallies are concerned at this time? Where does the PPP stand as far as, the PDM is concerned? Are you going to
thank
be
you,
part of
Maruf,
those
for
protests?
having me on the show. It's really good. Pakistan People's Party held a very successful series of protests last week all over the country. And especially in Karachi, we made sure that all districts were represented. So whether it was District South, where my constituency Liari is, or District West, District East, in each district of Sindh and many districts of Punjab, Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan, and even in Balochistan, a large number of Pakistan People's Party workers, supported by the common man, the public, came out and rejected the selected government of Imran Niazi because they are so under stress right.
Gee, sorry, I can't hear you anymore. I think there's a problem with audio. Gee, Shakil Saab, overall, of course, we are hearing this. The PPP is saying that, of course, you heard Nadir Saab that they're having successful protests. If you ask the PMLN, they would also say that they are having successful protests. But overall, we're not seeing the combustive effect that the opposition would like, or the kind of combination of things that can then factor in and become an actual threat against the government. On the one hand, of course, there is inflation. On the one hand, there is a whole, phenomena of price hike. There is a whole phenomena of devaluation of rupee. Even everyday commodities, there is talk of that, the fragmentation of price, all of that. But you don't see people reacting to the opposition. Is it because, in your opinion, that they're failing to get the people together, or they're divided themselves? What is it, in your opinion?
I think if you ask me, so in one sentence we can say it's the dilemma of our politics, or the true face of our political setup. Because they are least bothered about the people's concern. They are concerned about their point scoring.
Okay.
If they are doing, you talk to every political party know it very well. It's not about the PTI. PTI is in a power. That's why we are criticizing PTI, because they came with the promise to do something, but unfortunately they could not deliver on that promise. But everybody know that the problem has been created by themselves also, and they want to secure the points just to score the vote. If they have the interest, look at that, if any political leader in this country, they are facing the problem in the court or some other way, so you will find the political party running on the roads So they're talking about the system is not working, system is not delivering. But the dilemma is that nobody is ready to pick the cause for the people. Even if you look at the opposition or to look at the government.
Okay,
So if you look at that on economic side, coming back to the economy, look, everybody know that economic need production sector to grow.
Okay.
And we have two sectors where we can make a lot of progress. Industrialization of country through the CPEC. What we are hearing about the last 3.5 years, we are still unable to fully complete any special economic zone. Although the special economic zone in the Faisalabad.
Why do you think that is?
So when I say that, so when I was talking a little earlier, so it's a focus and the commitment required. What they are presenting the solution, unfortunate reality. Unfortunate reality. Every time they are trying to bring some of the foreign expert to tell us what is happening, or they are depending on foreign experts or the foreign, everything they talk about the foreign. So the people, million of the people and experts who are working in the system, you are discouraging them.
Okay.
The people who know the problem, how the system will run, you are ignoring them. So the problem is very deep rooted in this country. It's not only related to PTI, again I say, it's all the political elite of this country. They brought the country to this level. They are systematically, they are killing the talent by introducing the experts and bringing the foreigners who come here and they work for a few years and they go back. And then look at our economy. Last, I think, 2 decades, our economy is being run by the bankers or accountants, not the political economists.
Okay.
So look at them. The accountants and bankers, I'm not against them, but their prime job is to maintain the, you can say, the khatas, accounts, not to plan for the long term.
Right, let me come back to you. Ji, Javed Saab, you know, regardless of how you heard Shakil Rahman Saab saying there are, people who run the country, you don't need expats, you need local, our own people, our own talent, but isn't the problem more deep-rooted? Within our economy at this time, whether you talk about mismanagement, you talk about sector, you talk about going to the IMF again and again, all those things, that has been building up for a long time now. I mean, this is not this last 3 years, this is not this government, this is successive governments now which have, followed that same route. Don't you think that's true?
Absolutely, Maruf. I think this malaise basically is spread over the last 3 or 3.5 decades. It is obviously not only centered on the PTI policies. PTI has come into power and is there for the last 3 years. But I think in the last 3.5 decades, we have seen that Pakistan, which had enormous kind of opportunities and potential as well to become a real economy in South Asia and even in Asia. For example, the countries like South Korea and Indonesia and Malaysia were far behind Pakistan in economic growth, in industrialization as well. And at one point in time, South Korea even borrowed Pakistan's 5 years economic development program. And look what has happened. I think even the parties which remained in power in the last 3 decades, they really can't be absolved of the responsibility of taking the country to the stage where we find ourselves today. But unfortunately, PTI, which came into power with the promise of reforming the system and overhauling the system, I haven't seen that, because reforms, definitely they were the major thrust as far as PTI manifesto was concerned, but I think they got bogged down in opposition's rhetoric and bringing the looted money into Pakistan.
Do you think they had miscalculated to some extent? And I think the Prime Minister has said it on more than one occasion, the kind of mess that they found themselves in.
Of course, I think the mess was there. But within 3 years, you change 3 finance ministers and there's no continuity of policies. One finance minister goes after a couple of months and then another comes into the ministry and then the third one. And the problem with that is you don't have the continuity. Another finance minister comes, introduces a brand new set of policies, and he believes that in the case of the current finance minister, he was pretty critical of the outgoing finance minister Hafiz Sheikh. He said that country's direction is not really the right one, and he wanted to change the direction of the Pakistan's economy. And this, I mean, the same government, same prime minister, same manifesto, but every finance minister comes and says that the previous finance minister had taken the country to the wrong direction. So he wanted to set the new direction, and now I think we are absolutely directionless right now.
Can I add one thing? In 1963, Pakistan gave us $25 million US to Germany. That was our strength. Now today
Because-
we are celebrating. So German government has suspended this our repayment of 26 million US dollar. Look at that, from where we started and where we
where
are
we
today.
are. Right. Ji, Jawad Saab, can you answer this? I mean, do you think that it has to do with discontinuation of policies? Do you think it has to do with the constant change of management? You know, we're talking about the finance ministers being changed successively, the direction perhaps not being the same. You know, every time there is a change, every time you see, do you think that that is what the government has grappled with for now, for, you know, perhaps more than 3 years?
Maruf, first of all, as far as change is concerned, change is the only constant in the world. And changing leadership, changing management does not reflect that the government is directionless. It basically reflects that the government is trying to find the good solutions for the organizations, for the policy and strategy. So there is no harm
But
in
does
that.
it not reflect that the government is overall not too happy with the person at the helm of affairs? Does it not reflect that also?
There can be many angles. My angle would be that if I'm given a task of bringing an organization into order, perhaps I might try a few persons before I find somebody
fair enough.
who really meet my expectations, or who is really able to fix the organization. So I think it's a different way of looking at things. And what you are saying, I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying, that is also one aspect of management and leadership. There was a discussion about drawing parallel with Turkey.
Jawad
Maruf,
sir,
I'm not,
I mean, there is no denying the fact that, you know, I'll let you go back and answer what you're saying about Turkey. I'm not going to dissuade you from that. But of course, I mean, as far as the element of changing a minister, or, you know, bringing in somebody else, of course the Prime Minister has a right to do that. He's certainly you know, within his purview, within his authority to do that. And if he feels another person is more, perhaps would be perhaps more competent, then just criticizing it for the sake of criticizing, I certainly, you know, we don't want to do. But overall, as far as continuation of policy is concerned, do you think it affects continuation of policy? To what extent? When, for example, the finance minister is changed?
Maruf, whether there is a continuation of policy, I think it can be very well judged from the economic indicators of the country. If there was not continuation of the policy today, if I just go through my 15 days report on the government performance, which I give every 15 days. So I see the FBR revenue collection is increasing. I see poverty alleviation going down according to the World Bank. I also see that petrol is still the cheapest in the region. I see a massive investment of rupees 111 billion to be made in power transmission via NTDC. I see mobile manufacturing policy which PTI government brought. It has today started exporting mobiles for the first time in the history of Pakistan. I also see that Pakistan's non-energy bill has shrunk by 12.5%. So if I look at the exports, it is also growing. So how somebody can really reach to this conclusion that the government is directionless? So I totally disagree with this thing.
Okay.
Yes,
you're saying
you
that,
can.
okay. You're saying
yes.
that the narrative is wrong. You're saying that the narrative as
Yes.
far as the government and inflation is concerned is wrong. You are saying that it's a global phenomena. We are perhaps suffering less than rest of the world. And look, all of these things are happening anyway, which you know, the media is not concentrating on, or which are not getting sufficient, I would say, maybe, you know, media space, right?
Maruf, what I'm trying to say, there are two ways of discussion if somebody has to analyze the government performance. The one which is mostly adopted by the opposition and some segments of the media, that intention is to blame the government for the mismanagement, for the bad governance, and making government responsible for the inflation or whatever the economic challenges we are facing, just like other countries. So there is another discussion that we can talk about, that what government has done so far quite well, and what government has not been able to do it, and what is the role of the impact of the COVID, and how the global petrol prices are affecting every country, and how the prices of energy, which is a phenomena of 2 decades, is affecting our ability not being able to give energy at lower prices. You see, once the debate is with a positive perspective, and it is not with the intention of just making government responsible for the inflation or price hike. So I think this we need to differentiate. Only then we can have a good, I would say, analysis of the economy of the country and about the performance of the government. So
Okay, fair enough.
I do not agree when somebody says that the government is directionless. No, government has direction in very right in many areas. But yes, the inflation, the petrol prices, the energy prices, it is affecting us, and we are trying to battle with this. And I hope when the petrol prices go down, the inflation will also go down.
Yes, I think we all hope that. I will come back to you. Ji, Nadir Saab. Nadir Saab, okay, you were mentioning, and I think that we broke down, the audio broke down when you were talking about the fact that, there has been a lot of response as far as within Sindh also to the protests, and people have come out. But do you see yourself, do you see the PPP coming together under the umbrella of the PDM again? Do you see the momentum building as far as the opposition together is concerned, their strength together is concerned? Or do you see different political parties protesting, separately, which is what seems to be happening at this time? How do you perceive things?
Maruk, you're correct. Right now, we do have misunderstandings, and we're not under the umbrella of PDM, but we are part of the opposition. And there's a lot of pressure right now on all political parties, especially the opposition, to act against the government, because the public, you need to realize that not every Pakistani right now is either People's Party or PMLN. There's a lot of undecided voters as well, and they're also pressurizing all political parties to raise their voice against this record inflation against in Pakistan, which we've never seen before. The other colleague of mine, Mr. Ahmed Javed, was saying that the government has direction. I will sincerely disagree, because just a few days ago, Imran Khan said that he will not further raise petroleum prices, but only a couple of days after that, he raised it by more than 8 rupees. So there is definitely lack of direction. There is lack of direction
Said that they're
when you
likely
change.
to be raised.
Ji.
No, but Nadir Saab, overall, would you agree with me when I say that as far as the people are concerned, as far as, for example, the man on the street is concerned, people have overall, do you feel lost faith in our political system, so to speak, not political parties per se? I'm not talking about the PPP or the PMLN or the PTI. I'm saying that overall, I think the people would you agree that people seem to have lost the kind of faith that there is a disillusionment from the whole political process, so to speak? I mean, perhaps at one time, the kind of reaction that there would have been, from inflation, from price hike, all of those things, we are not seeing now. Do you think that has to do with the fact that people just feel that it doesn't matter anymore? Whether it's the PPP or the PMLN or, whichever political party, things are where we are because of a lot of other factors, and no one can really make a difference.
Yes, Maruk, you're very correct, and you use a very accurate word, disillusionment. The people of Pakistan are mostly disillusioned by the political process, especially because they feel that their voice does not translate into the assemblies. Many times we've seen in Pakistan that the elections have been stolen, or governments have been dissolved and a dictator has come. So there definitely is a perpetual feeling of disillusionment with the political system of Pakistan. But we need to change that. If we don't change it now, then who will do it for us? Right now is the perfect time because all political parties have been given a chance. Imran Khan's biggest selling factor, his biggest marketing pitch was that he hasn't been given a chance before. But now we've seen his performance in 3 years. In 3 years, again, I'll refer back to what Mr. Ahmed Javed was saying about, mobile phones being exported and etc. But that does not translate down into the common man. The common man still is struggling to buy food for his children. The common man does not know if tomorrow he wakes up, will he be able to put petrol in his motorcycle to get to work or not? So these are the things that a normal common Pakistani is worried about, and Imran Khan does not seem to give any stability or hope to an average
Let me
Pakistani.
come back
And
to you.
this is
And
why
also, the common man, Javed Saab, also doesn't know if there is anybody else who will make things different. Isn't that true?
I think absolutely you really hit the bullseye when you said that the people at large are really disillusioned and dismayed and dejected with the entire political system. It's not only one political party which is ruling in Islamabad, but it is the entire political system in Pakistan has been left discredited, because even in the past people were left high and dry. Every political party comes into power, and then when they are in a position they talk something else. Once they get into the corridors of power, they have got entirely different policies. So Pakistan People's Party really can't absolve itself, not even Pakistan Muslim League N and other political parties, regional parties as well, because the people have been looking towards them, but they always disappointed the people of Pakistan.
But do you think it's also because of the political...
A very small point. I think I would like to ask him what kind of alternative policies Pakistan People's Party has given to the people when they reject the policies of the PTI. What is the alternative they are providing to the people of Pakistan? Same is the case with Pakistan Muslim League N. You protest against the policies, reject that we reject these policies of the PTI, but there's no alternative system you are going to give to the people
When
of
you
Pakistan.
talk about the structure, Shakil Saab, when you talk about the structure overall of Pakistani politics, do you think perhaps that needs to change? Perhaps we need to get into that kind of debate where, we talk about alternative, like, what Javed Saab is saying, that we talk about alternative policies. We talk about, whichever government that comes in, instead of criticizing the, with successive, at the incumbent government at this time, let us tell them that, this is what we will do instead. This is how we will deal with this crisis. This is how, and we don't see enough of that. I mean, there's a lot of political rhetoric going on every channel. If you had if you had 3 political party representatives at this time, they would all be talking about how things are bad, or as far as if it's against the government, the opposition, overall, the critique, all of
critiques, but no solutions.
Critiques, but there doesn't seem to be, like I said, an alternative, and that's what's missing.
Look, Maru, if you study the last 2 or 3 decades that Javed Saab talking about, we can see the parties are changing in the government. Sometimes it's a one political party or some establishment party, or you can say it's army is there. But the consultant who are working on the policies, they are the same.
So what's the problem in your opinion?
They are consultant. So coming from the IMF, World Bank or international donor agencies, they are coming with their solutions. Look, do that, do that. The voices of people, if you want to, you can say, reform this country, you need to include the common people.
Where are the voices of people in the parliament, Shakil Saab? They are
That's
in the
what I'm saying.
parliament.
That's what I'm saying.
They should talk to, isn't underrepresented
The problem
of the
is
country.
not that. Problem is not that the politicians, because they have the minimum input on the policies when they are making. From where the policies are coming of Pakistan. IMF is telling you, you have
But you
to
don't
do.
have a choice as far as the IMF is concerned. Where
That's
are you
what
going
I'm
to
saying, from
go?
1989. Now this is a new one. This is not on the PTI government. 1989.
That's what I'm saying.
Through the structural adjustment program, they have given you the policy. You have to do this.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. So these when the political parties, they claim they are doing this, they want to this. That's why I started to laugh. What they're talking about, because they're the same consultant. Hafiz Sheikh in every government. Listen, Hafiz Sheikh in every government. Shaukat Tareen in every government. Raza Bakr is a new entry. You will find him in the next government. So there is no policy framework they can present you as alternative.
But it doesn't matter as far as, let me go to Jawad Saab. Jawad Saab, does it matter whether it's, all the names that Shakil Saab is talking about, whether those people are again in the government or not, or whether it's somebody else. The point really is that you don't have a choice as far as going to the IMF is concerned, right? Whether it's the PTI, if it's not the PTI the next time, or it is the PTI the next time, you have to go to the IMF now because you don't have a choice where you are at this time. The PPP went, the PMLN went, and we are where we are at this time. But as far as the overall dictation of policy is concerned, then how much leeway do we really have? That's my question.
We want to
Jawad
get
sir,
out of, if we want to get out of the trap of debt trap, or I mean the dictation of IMF, I think the only way out is that we have to create our own economic activity in the country. We have to increase our exports. We have to increase our foreign remittance. We have to increase our revenue collection. We have to increase our foreign reserves. So I think this is what is the solution. It's not about that who has been running in the past and who is running right now.
Yeah.
The present government policies have been able to create that takeoff in our economy, which we have been looking for quite some time. If I'm talking about the mobile export, it is about creating a new industry which is not only meeting the local needs, domestic need by saving the import bill, it is now also exporting. So what does it mean? That if we have economic activities, such kind of economic activities, our reliance on IMF will automatically reduce. And that's the only way that we can get out of that influence or dictation of IMF.
So
And when I
you see
say
translating
that
down,
yeah,
Jawad sir,
and
when
when
do you
I
see-
say that foreign remittance can make a difference, you know, if you are getting like 20, $21 billion previously, and now with the good policy of the government, the foreign remittance, if they are reaching to $30 billion, so this $7-8 billion increase coming into Pakistan, this will take you out of the IMF clutches. So that is why I am talking about these economic indicators, which does not become part of any critique on the performance of the government. So these indicators, we have to time and again, we have to explain that the rise in the exports, rise in the economic industrial activities, rise in the foreign remittance and foreign reserves, these make a difference. And this is the direction. This is the direction that we have to go, so that we can have less reliance
What
on
is the interest rate on the
IMF,
Rush
and
in
we can
Pakistan?
make our own policies instead of taking policies from IMF, because every time any country in the world, when they go to IMF, they have to take
You're
that
saying that-
dictation.
Jawad sir, what about South Korea, for example? You know, they did accomplish a lot. You know, we have unfortunately not been able to follow that kind of road. And it doesn't matter. I mean, we're not talking about PTI, but it doesn't matter which political party has unfortunately been leading. Let me come back to you.
Maruh, any example, whether it is South Korea, whether it is Singapore, or it is Turkey or Malaysia, when we talk about these countries, the objective is not that we are trying to draw any parallel with these countries. The objective is that we try to learn lessons from them. We try to understand when we are talking about the inflation rise, and when I mention about the Turkey, it is with the objective that in a country which is second highest inflation in the world, but nobody's talking about inflation in this country, not on the talk shows, not on the media, because the economy is going on, economic activities are going on. But in our country, what I have realized that the entire objective of this debate on our media is just to prove one thing, that the government is not performing well. It is to prove one thing, that the government does not have direction. But when we look at the economic indicators, it is the same indicators based on which evaluation of economy is done anywhere in the world. So I'm not bringing anything alien in this discussion.
maybe it's because of how they're affected, as opposed to, you know, how people in our country at this time are affected. I'm sorry, my throat is a little. Nadir Sahab, is it about the fact that how it affects us at this time? I mean, perhaps in Turkey, you know, every person is not feeling it so much. You know, you have people who make 20,000 or 25,000 a month here. You know, the gardeners, the gatekeepers, people who can't manage, you know, all of those people are facing this problem as far as inflation is concerned. So therefore, it becomes a narrative which Jawad Sahab is talking about. And I do, you know, I have to be fair to him. I do agree that when he talks about industries like you know, the phone and all of those things, as the mobile industry, all of that, those are fair enough. Those are things, those are you know, things that the government is doing, the effort the government is trying to make it, for example, to develop a new industry, all of that. But the point is that for a country like Pakistan, it has to take more hit than Turkey, right? Nadir Sahab? I can't hear you.
On federal television, you were accepting that Pakistan is more affected because, you know, the per capita GDP in Pakistan is far less as compared to countries like Turkey or other European or even in America for that matter. So in Pakistan, that narrative that the government is trying to push, that you know, the petroleum prices are still far lower than India, for example, or other countries in the region, it doesn't sell to the common Pakistani, because the common Pakistani, well, first of all, unemployment is rife in Pakistan. Not every Pakistani
Nadir
has
Sahab,
a
okay,
salary
let
to
me
rely
just ask you a
on.
question straight on. But as far as what you are selling as PPP is not really selling to the people also. Why? Why do you think that's happening? I mean, that's my question. I mean, if things are as bad as they are, people are as hard up as they are, and you know, what Jawad Sahab is saying isn't accurate, isn't true, there isn't you know, that loss of faith, all of those things. Why are you not getting through to the people? Would you agree that you're not?
I humbly want to disagree with you. I think Pakistan People's Party is gaining popularity day by day. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari has proven himself to be a leader of the population of the common Pakistani. More people are looking towards him right now than any other political leader right now, because all he talks about is the poor Pakistani, those who are below the
But my
poverty line. He
point is,
doesn't talk.
they all talk about poor Pakistanis. My point is that, you know, it doesn't really seem to be ringing a bell as far as, you know, whether it's Bilawal Bhutto or Maryam Nawaz. It seems to be people realizing that this is how bad the situation is because the country was where it was when the PTI came in. You don't think that's true?
I don't think it's true. I want to request you to just get the news coverage from the test we had a few days ago. You should have seen the number of people who came out all over Pakistan. Every Pakistani right now is looking towards Pakistan People's Party, the party that gave the common Pakistani below the poverty line Benazir income support program, which PTI has tried to reject and made the SR program or whatever they call it. But this was the brainchild of Pakistan People's Party, President Zardari's government, in which a lot of poor in Pakistan, those who don't have an income, they got a lot of support through that. And even the 12,000 rupees that Imran Khan gave during the height of COVID, part of that income support program.
Now,
PTI
if there were elections, for example, you know, tomorrow, how do you think the PPP would do?
I think Pakistan People's Party will surprise everyone. Sindh, obviously, we will sweep as expected, but even in Balochistan, after a lot of big political leaders have joined us recently, we will also be able to form government in Balochistan. South Punjab, which Imran Khan fell this problem, he will make Punjab separate. Rest of Punjab has failed, and Pakistan People's Party is the party which now people in the Sirai are relying on their right. Even in UK, they're looking towards Pakistan People's Party, Gilgit Baltistan, Kashmir. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari is the future right now. He is the only sane voice in the mainstream political arena. And people know that he is the son of Shahid Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, the woman who gave her life for Pakistan. She could have stayed in Dubai. She could have gone to London or America, but she came back to Pakistan knowing that she could be assassinated. But she said, if I am going to die, I will die in the service of my people, of every Pakistani who looks towards me for relief. And right now, Imran Khan, like I was saying earlier, Imran Khan's only selling point was that he hadn't been given a chance, but he has
Well,
now been
unfortunately,
tried.
that's all the
Yes.
time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for being with us, Shakil Rame Saab. Thank
Can
you
I
for
add
joining.
one thing at the end?
Unfortunately, very quickly, I'm really out of time.
What is the interest rate on the Russian Pakistan when they talk about the remittances?
Okay. On that note, thank you so much for joining us, Shakil Rame Saab, Javed Jadoon Saab. Thank you for being with us today. Ahmed Jawad Saab, thank you so much for joining us from Turkey. Nadir Gabol Saab, thank you for making the time. As far as overall the situation is concerned, certainly perhaps it is time for some circumspection as far as where we are headed as a country, regardless of political parties, regardless of which political party is at the helm of affairs today. How do we see ourselves in the next 5-10 years? How do we see the progression of Pakistan in the 5-10 years? Does the common man feel that whichever political party comes in will make a difference? We need to look inwards, we need to understand what changes need to be made for us to move towards that kind of progression, that kind of development that we would like to see. Of course, we see the Prime Minister indicating where he's going, we see his vision, we see his thought process. Let's see and let's hope for the best. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.